We don't know what the weather is going to be like around here. I do get really anxious during storms.
That's why they chose HailGuard. When performance leads, confidence follows. Backed by the first and only asphalt shingle system with a hail warranty.
That just gives us more peace of mind.
This is the only asphalt product on the market that has the manufacturer warranty targeting the hail damage, and it gives me a lot of confidence as a contractor.
Engineered for enhanced impact performance. Built to protect homes and reputations. HailGuard shingles. Built for hail.
Good morning, crew. It is Wednesday. It is hump day. It is August 26th. Just rolling right along through the week here. I am Matt Meister. This is Peaks to Plains Weather, and this is Mornings with Meister. I do it every Monday through Friday morning, 6:30 until we're done with whatever's happening with the weather of the day. Whatever questions you have, you can always join the show live if you would like. I'll give you opportunities later on. You can always use these URLs that we have for you. Put them into your phone, put them into your desktop on your computer, and give your camera and microphone permission. You can come on here with me and you can be part of the show. Got my American Classic coffee this morning. Woody's Brew is my last cup. I ran out while I was grinding the beans, and I tell you what, I need it today. I'm feeling tired. Man, it's just been a long month or so since Mary had her baby. Rachel's picked up a couple shifts where she can, but I'm just feeling it. Lots of stuff going on at the house. We leave tomorrow in the late morning to take my daughter off to school. And so there's some emotions and whatnot with that. Yeah, things rolling right along here as we wrap up August. Let's talk about yesterday, what happened out there. We did get into the low and mid 90s over the eastern plains. Otherwise, had a mixture of 70s and 80s across the area yesterday. And we had storms around. Our camera in Woodman Heights catching a couple rounds of storms moving across the cities here in the late afternoon. Rolling across parts of Colorado Springs. Pueblo, we had a strong one on the south side of town. But as we talked about in the lead up to yesterday, the strongest storms were over the plains, as we knew would be the case. And there was a storm that for about 20 minutes in southern Otero County, where there's not a lot of people, I tell you what, getting what was probably some really large hail. It may not have hit anything, so we don't have any reports about it, but I would not be surprised if there were some 2-inch hailstones. And you can see here on the radar estimated rain where the strongest storms were yesterday over the southeastern plains, like we thought would be the case. There were several flash flood warnings down in this area yesterday, several severe thunderstorm warnings. Reports of severe weather and significant impacts are pretty minimal. That's good news. Some of this because of where the heaviest storms were, but Lamar, we had a flash flood warning for a while. And between 1 and in some cases more than 2 inches of rain fallen over the plains yesterday, where you see some of the brighter greens and then some of the darker greens within there. We also had a flash flood warning. In fact, there were 2 of them yesterday for the Aspen Acres fire, first on the north end, then the central part. And in Beulah Valley, north side of the valley, we did get reports running on North Creek Road of some water and some debris. Continuation of the issues that we have been dealing with. Thankfully, it doesn't appear that it was gravely significant yesterday, but certainly producing some impacts. And like I said, otherwise, the severe weather reports were pretty minimal, and that is good news. As we wake up this morning, it is a nice start to the day. Now you see the alpenglow there on the foothills below Pikes Peak from Kissing Camels, our view. And I want to take a second this morning and talk about our View program, because we would love for you to be a part of it. So if you go to peakstoplainsweather.com, and let me pull this up here, we are growing this program, and we want you to be a part of it. If you are someone that has a small business that you want to be a part of Peaks to Plains, it's a real easy way for you to kind of join what we are doing here. Let me get the website up. All right. So if you go to the top of the page here in the Our View, the live weather cams, you can see the camera that I'm showing you right now, and you can see our Woodman Heights camera. But there are also time-lapse archives here where you can go back for the last month and watch any day. So it's a real rich experience between the live cameras and the time lapses that we have. And you can do that for both of these. You can go back in time here if you had some event that was near you. But I'd like these cameras all over the place. And here's the deal, and I'm really excited about this. I don't want to make money off this. I just want the eyeballs everywhere. For a one-time investment, between $200 and $400, depending on what your internet needs are, power at your location, and then just pay for the annual hosting of the camera, $560. So it's about $45 a month. You can sponsor the camera. You can advertise the camera. When we show it on Peaks to Plains Weather, we'll have your logo on there. We'll mention it. We have links on the website. You can have the live camera and the time-lapse capabilities on your website as well. So if you're on a town board, a nonprofit, a school district, something like that, you can be part of Peaks to Plains Weather in our view. We'd love to have you on there. On that page on the website at the bottom, there's a form that you can fill out, and we would love for you to be able to do that. So let's talk about what's going on outside this morning as we get the day underway. Temperatures are quite cool in the big mountain valleys. Gunnison and Alamosa are running 44 this morning, and Salaida's 45. And we have quite a few 50s out over the plains this morning. I was a little bit concerned that with the moisture behind the front, we'd have some low clouds. I don't see too many of them out there this morning. It is 60 degrees in first view. Out over the eastern plains, we do have dew points that are up, and I think you'll feel the humidity out there today. It is currently 61 in Trinidad. Cascade this morning on the side of Pikes Peak, it is 46. And so, yeah, it is definitely a little bit of a cool one out there this morning, depending where you are. And not a big surprise here as our days are getting shorter, obviously. Jump into the short-term forecast after I say good morning to all of you who are starting your day with us here on Peaks to Plains Weather. Wayne says, top of the morning to you. Love the Frankenstrat right there, Wayne. Oh, that's awesome. Susan is saying good morning from Palmer Lake. And Jeff says, let's go. Friday for him. He's heading to Texas for a big bike ride that he told me about. And he wanted to do a live report from there. And I'm going to be mobile, Jeff, so it's hard for me to do that when I have the show on the road. But Thursday morning, Friday morning, and Saturday morning, I'll be doing the show from Indiana. So you have a good ride with your buddies. Have fun out there. And Clinton says no clouds where he is, but definitely cool and humid this morning. And Kathleen says good morning as well. Sure do appreciate you being part of Peaks to Plains Weather here, my friends. All right, let's jump into the short-term forecast because it is going to be a busy day today. In fact, I am going to start with the potential for severe weather that we've got. And it's shifted farther west than yesterday, at least where the most likely area to catch severe weather is. And it does include the cities. And there is threat for large hail today in the cities as the storms encounter low-level moisture during the afternoon. We've got the front that's moved into the area, increasing the low-level moisture. The high's still off to our south. It's still rotating waves around. One of them is going to be real important for the forecast later on today. So the general evolution of storms is going to look like it did yesterday, with things kind of moving from northwest to southeast, like you see here, and then a gradual decrease in the activity as we start to move toward late Wednesday evening and early Thursday morning. And so here's how things are going to play out. We hit the middle of the day in the monsoon plume is where the storms will initially develop. But as the storms move down the eastern slopes, they get an additional fuel source, and it's the low-level moisture behind the front. And that's what's going to allow the storms to strengthen. Now, what's interesting this morning, I looked at about 5 different versions of Skycast to pick the ones that I showed you because there was something in the data overnight, and I've got to go figure out what it is because all of the models are doing this. They're not developing as many storms as they were yesterday for this afternoon. And my hunch is it's because with the cooler air behind the front, there's a mid-level layer of stability that they're seeing. But the terrain always wins out. We're pushing the low-level moisture up against the hills into the Palmer Divide, and I know that wave's coming in the afternoon. So back part of the day, early part of the evening, storms coming down the mountains will strengthen. And while they are individual cells, we'll have a threat for hail between 1 and 2 inches in diameter. When you look at the moisture, you look at some of the other thermodynamic profiles in the atmosphere, and you look at the wind shear with southeast wind at the surface and the northwest wind aloft, all of those things show that we should have some strong, organized updrafts capable of producing some large hail. That, with the strongest storms, might be near 2 inches. That's nothing to sneeze at. So just a heads up, and that does include the cities today, like I said. As we get into the evening, though, like what I showed you on the satellite and radar from last night, the storms tend to cluster. And as that happens, the maximum hail size comes down some, and the threat for gusty wind goes up as sort of the main severe weather threat. So that's kind of the evolution of things. If we talk timing, in the cities, I'm watching between about 2 and 6 o'clock, and then over the plains between about 6 and 10. So that timing is relatively similar to what we had yesterday. And obviously, the farther west you are, the earlier it'll be, and the farther east you are, the later it'll be. But that's what I'm going to watch for today. And again, the threat is because of the increased low-level moisture that we have east of the mountains behind the cold front. But dew points in the mountains aren't bad. And that's due to the monsoon. So some of those are going to put some heavy rain down as well. It's possible between a ½ inch and an inch over the mountains, but the amounts over an inch are more likely where that low-level moisture is. So we'll keep a close eye on the Aspen Acres fire again, as we do have another flash flood watch that is up for the area. And if you look at the thunderstorm strength map, this is called convective available potential energy. You don't always use all of this, but I think once the storms get going today, we will. And notice how there's sort of an orange color, a burnt orange color, right along and east of the eastern. That's because in that calculation of available energy is the low-level moisture and the fuel for the storms. So that's why there will be a strengthening as the storms drop off of the Rockies and onto the interstate later on today. As we look at tomorrow, temps not all that different east of the mountains. Start to warm up a couple degrees over the hills, and that's because we begin a little bit of a drying trend. We're still going to have storms around tomorrow. Like today, they'll form over the mountains, they'll roll over the plains, they'll get a little bit stronger again as they roll off of the plains. That'll take until the evening to do so. How far east they go tomorrow is a little bit of a question. And how many storms are up over the Palmer Divide into northeast Colorado is also a question we've got to work on tomorrow. But what I want you to take from my forecast right now is that I don't think there will be as many storms across the area on Thursday. Then we get to Friday, and Friday is a little bit of a different day because the temperatures pop back up in a big way into the upper 90s. And that's because Friday is going to be one of our drier days around. So that times out well with the start of the weekend and plans that you might have on Friday. If you want to grill Friday evening, go into a football game, something like that, I think the weather will, for the most part, cooperate. There will still be a storm or two around, just not as many as we get today and we'll probably have out there tomorrow. All right, that is it for the short-term forecast. I'm going to take a short break and we'll talk extended forecast when we come back. You are watching Peaks to Plains Weather, our weather together. Love your yard with a new outdoor space from F&B Landscaping. From a new build to a new project in an existing yard, we listen and give you the yard you want within your budget. Lawns, water features, xeriscaping. We've got the artistic touch and technical know-how to bring the peak of Colorado outdoor living to your home. Reliable, trustworthy. Visit fblandscapes.com to schedule a free consultation today.
Ramos Law serves people. We make the world a better place. We put people ahead of anything else. It's my name on this business. It's my face on the billboards. And what you don't see through any of that stuff is you don't see my heart. We've built this family, this Ramos Law family, in a way that will include you. And hopefully by the end of our representation, you also feel part of the Ramos Law family. I look forward to taking care of you.
Recently just saw another patient. I saw her from middle school on, and I know her mother and her father very well, and she's now a physical therapist in our community. These kids, they're having their families, and they still are coming in to see me after all these years. You know, they can move on and go to other places. They still come to me, and that means a lot. I'm Dr. John Lydia from Springs Dentistry, and I'd like to invite you into our family.
I'm Catherine.
And I'm Dewey, here with another WaterWise tip.
During summer, do you know why we water up to 3 days a week?
To make the best use of me.
Exactly. It builds deeper, stronger roots and makes your lawn more resilient.
Also, use the cycle and soak method. Try shorter cycles with breaks in between to reduce runoff.
And in spring or fall, you can water 1 or 2 days per week. Be WaterWise and your lawn will thrive.
Now that's WaterWise. Learn more at csu.org/WaterWise.
Alrighty, our extended forecast here on Peaks to Plains weather does have storms continuing for the mountains, but over the weekend, especially Friday into Saturday, the coverage gets a little bit less. We pick it back up Sunday into Monday as the high shifts off to the southeast. I'll show you that here in a second. And then we keep some thunderstorms around here into the first part of September. But I'll tell you what, the pattern looks a little bit different here as we move through, especially east of the mountains next week, as we get a little bit of drier air to move overhead. Now, for today, we've got the low-level moisture behind the front, the highs off to our south, clockwise flow around that. That's the monsoon that we watch this time of year. And you can see into Thursday, we'll still have some storms around. But as we start moving toward the weekend here, the flow gets broken up a little bit, and there's just not going to be as much water around to fire up storms. We'll still have some, but we start to see the temperatures come up a little bit and the likelihood of storms drop some. As we move through the back part of the weekend, that changes again because we reestablish the tap. There's a little wave moving up across the northern plains. It increases the flow a little bit. So instead of storms moving southeast like they did yesterday, like they will today, and like they will tomorrow, any storms that we get out there will have a northeast movement to them. And so as we move toward the end of the weekend, in the early part of the week, we also get a cold front to come into the area as this wave moves into the northern plains. And as that happens, we introduce low-level moisture again. And so that increases the intensity of storms, the likelihood of them east of the mountains. That will happen Sunday into Monday. As you see, we've got a nice tap here as the high actually shifts off to the southeast a little bit. But then once this wave kind of clears and we get past that post-frontal day on Monday, there's a wave that comes into the western United States. And that one is going to shift kind of where we're drawing the moisture from. And that, like I said, doesn't totally get rid of the chance of storms over the mountains, but it is going to change things up over the eastern plains. And so for Woodland Park, for other mountain areas, you know, some of our drier days here kind of coming behind that front on Tuesday. But then as we get into the late part of next week, you know, we see the chance of storms drop really east of the mountains. So for Colorado Springs, you know, storm chances after today getting a little bit less. There still will be a couple around. It's about a 1 in 5 shot. So certainly better opportunities to be outside, better chances of storms over and near the higher terrain than on the southeast side of town. Behind the front, you see the temperature drop Sunday into Monday, and so storm chances will come back up. But then as we move through next week, I think it's harder to kind of get a storm over a specific neighborhood on a specific day. So we're kind of watching that late weekend, the timing of the front. You know, Sunday could be a little bit more active if the front gets here a touch earlier. It looks like it'll get here Sunday evening, so the more noticeable drop and the increase in moisture comes on Monday. Some of the hottest days will come Friday and Saturday, and then as we move toward next week, we spend a good chunk of the afternoons on the eastern plains into the 90s. And so a little bit of a transition here as we move into September. But the good news is that there is still the monsoon to watch for. It's just going to increase or be more likely to impact the mountain areas through the early part of the month here. And Jim asks, are there any drought updates? The drought monitor comes out on Thursdays, usually comes out about 7 o'clock or so, so I will definitely update that. We haven't seen any significant drought updates, but there are different areas that are getting different amounts of rain on different days, and the amounts are impressive. I mean, you saw as we started the show here last night between 1 and in some cases more than 2 inches of rain. But we need more than that to really make these significant impacts on the drought conditions that we have out across southern Colorado. And so, we need some more water around for sure. Any questions that you guys have this morning? I can go ahead and answer those now. I'll give you a little bit to maybe put that in there. Let's see, who else is checking in this morning? Clinton says that one of the elementary schools in BV is interested in having a Peaks to Plains Hour View camera. That will be super exciting. I am excited about that. And let's see what else we've got this morning. Raul put something in Spanish. I'm trying to activity in the Atlantic. My Spanish isn't good enough to translate that. Sorry about that, Raul. But I will work on that after we're done here, and then I will get that to you. So, my friends, enjoy your morning. I'm enjoying mine because I got my American Classic coffee. Donna says, hi, Matt. Have a great day. Donna, I hope you have a great day. Thanks for being part of Peaks to Plains weather. Later on today, keep your Peaks to Plains weather app handy. Keep your location turned on. We'll give you a digital shoulder tap as those storms roll through. When we do live coverage, we push our live stream to social media as well. But if you're watching on social media and that's the main way you are interacting with Peaks to Plains weather, I really encourage you to download the app. Because I could post something about severe storms later on today, and you might not see it till Thursday afternoon, depending how the algorithms, are serving you up stuff. So we really want to take care of you and your family. That's what this is about. Best way for us to do it's in the app. You can watch the Peaks to Plains Weather 24-hour channel anytime you want. 24 hours a day. Roku, Fire TV. It's on YouTube. Lots of people watch YouTube on the TV. In the app, on the website. Crew, everywhere you are, that's where we are. Peaks to Plains weather is our weather together. Thanks for starting your Wednesday with me. I hope you have a good one. We'll be here today. We're actually doing some live radio today. Rachel and I will be on KVOR at 1 o'clock with Dirk Hobbs and a look on business. Mary might be able to call in on that as well. So from 1 to 2 o'clock, you can tune into that. We'd love to have you on there. And then I'll be zipping back here for severe weather coverage. Rachel will be in Thursday, Friday, and Saturday afternoons and evenings covering things while I am dropping Whitney off. But like I said, I'll be here with you on the morning show. So that's it, my friends. Have a fantastic day. Here's hoping that you get some rain today, but you miss some severe weather as we do have a threat for large hail. Have a good morning. I am Matt Meister. This is Peaks to Plains weather.
When a critically ill child is hospitalized, our Ronald McDonald House keeps families together every step of the way. Staying at our house within eyesight and walking distance to Children's Hospital, families ensure their child is never alone. Advocating for their best care, there's also plenty of time for connection with lots of hugs and bedtime stories. In nearly 40 years, no one has ever received a bill, whether families stayed for a few nights, several weeks, months, or even over the course of years. Thank you.